Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do your project in activity or project number 2, which happens to do a lot with desmos and restricting domains and making a design. So the first thing we want to do is add a image. So I'm going to go to the plus up here, and one of the options I have is image. And I want to pull up the Harley Davidson thing I have here. Now, you probably wouldn't want to do one quite like this because, number one, it has a lot of lines. Okay, there's just so many lines on here that it's not really what we want to do. Plus, there's a lot of them. If you've tried to outline these letters, that would take a lot of work. And a lot of time. So you don't want to do something like this, but let's say that I'm going to just try to make this bottom part of this curve down here, this shield. Okay, we'll call it. So what I'm going to try is to use some power functions first. Now I did mention to you, by the way, that you could change the center of this. It defaults at 0, 0. Over here you can change that center. You can change the width and the height of the picture or the image. I don't really see an advantage to having it that way. So, alright. So let's go ahead and make a U shape. Right? So I'm going to go y equals x squared. Oops, I forgot the x. Okay, so there's a y equals x squared. Now what I want to do is try to get this to come down and be down here. Okay, so I'm going to add a couple sliders to this. I'm going to add an A, and I'm going to put a plus B here. And you can pick any ones you want. Alright, now the B is going to allow me to move this thing up and down. That's a transformation. We've done that before. Okay, so I want to get it to come down, and I kind of like it right about there. Okay, at about -3.5. Now, since I'm happy with that, I could just come back up to here, okay, and put a -3.5 in there, and not use the B anymore. Okay, because I'm happy with that. But now I want to mess with the A. Now, I'm not interested in it flopping down. Okay, so I'm going to click on here and make that 0, because I don't need to have a negative. Right? If I needed to go down, I would have a negative. I'm going to make this a 1, because what I want is this to be wide. Okay, now my step, I'm going to go 0.01, so that when I go through this, okay, I get pretty accurate. So the more accurate I am, the easier it is for me to adjust it. Alright. Oh, let me get this on the projector mode here so you guys can see better. Okay. So now I'm pretty close. I'm not getting the whole thing. Okay. But I am getting this bottom part. And you could maybe play around with it a little bit more. An x to the 4th is going to be too flat, so I don't think that's going to work. But you could maybe try a polynomial. I don't know, but I'm going to stick with this, and then I'll show you a different way after we get done with this power function. So there's my power function for that. I like the way it is here. I like it here, and I like it here. It's kind of crazy, but I noticed this is not symmetric. Okay, so it's just a little bit different on each side. So I'm going to stick with that 0.28. I could try, no, maybe that's not bad. I just get a little bit of white right in there. Okay, so maybe 0.25. I'll stick with that. Let me see. think I'm going to go with the 0.25. Okay. So I'm going to pop back up here and put 0.25 for that, and now I don't need my A anymore. But what I want to do now is figure out, well, where do I want to start drawing this? Because I don't want all this stuff here, because that's no good. So if I come down over to here, I see that negative 1.74 and 1.6 maybe, okay, somewhere in there, is when I want to start and when I want to end drawing it. So again, like I said, I got disrupted there. I want to start at 1.75 and end at about 1.7 maybe. So then I want to come up here, and to do that restriction, we're going to put in some braces, okay? So I want to find my braces, which are right there. I'm going to put in negative 1.75 because that's where I want to start drawing this at. Then I'm going to use this and X and this inequality, and then about 1.7 I think is what I thought. And you can see there it is. There it is. And it stops and starts. Now here, I don't know, I could maybe make this just a little bit less because, you know, that's not too bad. You can see they're kind of in the same, so that's not too bad. Alright, so now what we want to do is get these other parts, right? So maybe I could use another U shape to get that. So let's try that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'll put an A in front and get both those sliders. Again, my A values should go from 0 to 1 because I want it to be pretty wide and I want it to be pretty accurate. So most of the time that's what you're going to do. They're probably not going to be too steep, but you might have some that are. Alright, so let's drop this down. And I'm going to widen it to get it to what I think would be best. Now remember, I'm just trying to get these ending curves, right? So I'm not trying to get the whole thing, just the ones on the end. See how I'm going to have just a little issue over here. So I kind of like what's happening on this side. And this side, again, that's just that not being symmetric. So I might have to lengthen this one a little bit more. But I think I like this. So I'm going to leave it at negative 3.2. And I'm going to leave the A at 0.15. Okay. So I don't need this, and I don't need this. And I'm going to make this the red so it kind of overlaps it. And I think I'll take this one and make it just a little bit longer. There we go. Okay, so now let's work with this. So now we want to try to get from here, which is 3.46, to where that one started. So again, I'm going to put my braces on there. I went too far on that one. That's not too bad. There we go. Okay, so that one looks pretty good. But I think this is supposed to be a negative. And I have it a positive. There we are. Now it's not perfect down here. Okay, but it's not too bad. So we'll do the same thing that we did on the other one there. But do it on the other side. It doesn't matter whether you use greater than or equal to ones, either one. I'm just using these. I'm hoping that it's about the same, but it might not be. Pretty close. I'm going to change this to a red. Okay. Close this down. And now you can see, again, it's not perfect, but not too bad. Okay. So that's one way of doing these. With power functions are pretty popular. Okay, you might have been able to use a different one that would give me a better curve. But power functions are ones that are pretty popular. Then you would just keep going and going and getting this. Now, let me show you how to make a folder. So we're going to go up to here. Folder. And maybe I just want to call this bottom, because that's the bottom of the thing. And now I'm going to move this up to here. So this folder, which is bottom, okay, I want to contain these items. So I'm going to click on this one, come over here, and kind of drag this a little bit. And there's a little faint line you probably don't really see, but it goes right there and it lines up with the folders line. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and the same thing with this one. So since this arrow is down, that means it contains these three equations. But as soon as I flip it up, by just clicking, those go into that folder. And now, I don't see them. They're there, but I just don't see them. So that kind of cleans it up a little bit. So you want to have some folders, and you can title them whatever you want, right? I call them bottom or top, or I don't care, whatever you want, right? Whatever helps you out, because it's your project. Okay, I'm going to turn off these. And let's look at another way of doing this. So let's look at some polynomials. So I'm going to take a look at a third degree, because maybe this is a third degree, and I was playing around with this yesterday a little bit. Or the other day, I should say. Oops. Now, why did I pick these? Well, I was just kind of estimating that this curve would go through about 4 and 4 on this side. But I really wanted to get, let me get you an A here and show you. So again, 0 to 1 by 0.01. And now I can slide that. But since I want to use this part of the curve here, I'm going to flip it. So I'm going to put a negative out in front of that. Okay. Now see what I'm doing? Now if I bring this down, I might be able to get that to fit. Maybe I don't want to flip it. I kind of do. Okay, so I really want to take this and get it to match up, but I want this part to kind of be over there. So then I think what I'm going to do is change this to a 3 and see if I can shove it over. See how it's kind of shoving over? There we go. Alright, now this part I want to come up, so I think I'll make this a little tighter. Maybe make this one just a little bit. Oh, that's the one thing you don't want to do. this down just a little bit more. And kind of adjust it. So you really want this one to come up a little bit more. Let me see if I can play with this just a tad bit more. Get it to come up. That's better. A lot of this is just kind of playing around with it and trying to get it to be right. Maybe widen this a little more. That's getting better. See, that's pretty good. Not quite. And it's all just about widening this a little more. Or maybe tightening it up. Let's try a 4. Oh, look. Man, that's pretty sweet. Right? And it was just a matter of me playing with this a little bit, these numbers, and the A, right, and the B, to get that right. So that's beautiful. So I could start it at 0 and end it at about 3.58 and have that whole thing. So let's go try that. Braces. So I'm going to start it at 0. And there it is. This would be a good 0.04. Okay, and negative 1.2. Oops. Then I don't need the A and the B anymore. And if you have a different equation, so the A, and if you keep sliders, like this one here has an A, and then you put a slider here for A, that's the same A. Okay, it's not different A because it's a different equation. All right, look at that. That's beautiful. And if I want to get the other side, then it would just be a matter of flipping this around. Okay, and instead of having these be negatives, you have those be positives and flip it around. You're just basically reflecting it over the y-axis. All right, so that's pretty nice. So that's kind of how you do it, right? You just got to play around with it a lot. That's why I'm saying you want to find one that you can do in this span of time. Okay. So I went over folders. I went over how to do this, how to restrict. I think you should be okay. So good luck. If you have any questions, let me know.